Today's guest is the CEO and founder of Virtuous Women Finance, which is a service that coaches women to achieve financial success and freedom. Owns multiple properties and is one of the smartest and hardest working people I know of. A good friend of mine. Please welcome Sabrina Pillay. Welcome, Sabrina.
Hey, Andrew. How's it going?
Good. Amazing. So nice to see you, Sabrina.
Thank you for having me.
You're always so calm. You're like the greatest person, the greatest ally to have in a crazy situation. Like if something was on fire or whatever, you're like the best person to have in the room because you're always like calm, cool, collected, and able to work through things with no matter how much stress. So what kind of tools or best practices are you using to remain peaceful and calm?
Well, I think you said it. I think the number one thing is I try to calm myself down. People see me as naturally calm, but I feel what I feel inside. So I think that the one thing I do is tell myself to calm down and that it'll be okay. So if your mind is positive, I think that maybe 80% of the job is really done. If your mind is strong and it's always hoping for better and knowing that better will come, I think that that's what really helps us do a lot of things. So that to me would be very crucial as a tool, is always constantly working on your mindset, being aware of your thoughts and what you're thinking and readjusting if ever your thoughts are not aligned with positivity or, and any type of empowerment, then you need to work on that and have a shift towards things that are empowering and positive.
Okay, cool. Do you have a go-to affirmation list or a mantra or something that you kind of say to yourself?
Yes, I will be okay, just relax. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes I'll do deep breathing techniques. Breathing, deep inhales and exhale, they really do help.
Oh yeah, I've heard that the 5-5-5, right? I think there's all these different ones, but one of them is box breathing or something. I think that's probably the wrong term, but 5-5-5. So you breathe in and then you count slowly for 5 seconds, you hold for 5 seconds, and then you exhale for 5 seconds.
Right. But yeah, I do that. But over time, I noticed that at the beginning, I used to go to books or any form of literature to give me inspiration on affirmations that I can say and release into my own life. But I realized with time that because we are creative beings, we can bring into existence anything we want. So I just learned to be what is it that I want to see in my life? And I call it. And that's basically it. So it could be, one thing that I constantly ask for is new opportunities. That's really, really important because there's a lot of opportunities in life. And sometimes we're maybe not at the right position or they're not close to us. So I just call it. And I'm I would like to see new opportunities in my life. So I'm calling it into my life.
You read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and which I've read, which millions of people have read, and be it's a very good book. But you're one of the few people that read the book and said, "Oh, okay, I'm going to go start buying some properties now." Right? So you want to speak a little bit to that and how that influenced you and how you actually realize these amazing things?
Yes. It spoke to me inside in the sense that he would always talk about opportunities and that they were always there. People think that opportunities are for other people or they can't get to it. But the more I read that book, the more I asked myself questions. I'm why is it that there are opportunities around and I'm not seeing it? So I think that book, what it did was it really opened my mind to the fact that I needed to sharpen my skills in terms of how I looked at the world. And I needed to see it through a vision of opportunities. Where are they? How can I find them? And I think that that's what that book did for me, is that it made me realize that for whatever reasons, I'm blind to it. They're all around, but I don't see them. Why is that? And that book really did that for me. And I think that's what opened the door for me. And that's how I ended up with 2 residential properties and 1 commercial one. It's just that I learned how to look. If that makes any sense.
It does, for sure. It's the filters, again, when it all ties together, what you're saying with having positivity, number one. Number two, asking the right questions. That is so important. That's like I would say is one of the secrets of life that people don't realize. We can only process 20% of reality. 80% of reality is we don't actually see at all. And
that's true.
And there's also, and that's like Dan Locke has an amazing video on that. He explains it better than I could about these filters, and that's why positivity works. That's why asking the right questions work, because it starts changing your filter. Right. Everything is the same. You walk down, but you just don't see it. It's also the way that David Copperfield can make the Statue of Liberty disappear in crazy, amazing magic tricks. And there's actually a system. I remember reading in a book of how magic works. I mean, is that whenever somebody walks into a room, whether it's a man or a woman, the first thing they notice is how many women are in the room, then how many men, then how many animals, then how many plants, and it goes down always the same. Okay, so magicians know this. So because they know this process of exactly how your brain's going to start filtering through things, they can do these amazing illusions or sleight of hand, and they know you'll never see it because of how it processes. It's really, really interesting. So,
no, that's insane.
Yeah. Virtuous Women Finance. You want to talk a bit about your coaching with that and how it's amazing service. I think really, really helps people and is very noble. How you help women with their finance.
Well, Virtuous Women Finance was basically born out of a desire to help women in finance. I know that, finance is something that touches everybody, not just women, but I think that my heart was really to empower women to want to look into their finances even more. Because I find that there are a lot of strong business-oriented women or smart women that look into their finances, but there's also a lot that I find leave it to the man, let's say, to deal with. And I think that I really wanted to empower women to be managers of their finances in their homes or their lives, or if they want to, I don't know, be the next Warren Buffett, or they want to, be the next Bill Gates or something. I want to just empower them and teach them and give them the tools in order to be able to create their financial realities, what they want to see. Because as simple as it is, a lot of people don't apply it. And a lot of people maybe wonder, like you said, there are wrong questions to ask. Why is it that I'm always broke? Why is it that I want to have the same luxuries as other people? Why is it that they have it and I don't?
Awesome. Can you give us 3 free tips?
Number one is know your stuff.
That's the art of war. Yeah, art of war.
It's important. I mean, a lot of people know where they want to go in life, but they don't know where they're at. Tip number one for me is you need to know where you stand financially. You need to know your habits. And the only way to really dive into that, it's really, really simple, but it's really look at your numbers. You need to know how much you're spending, what are your habits, and what do you tend to spend more on? And how much money are you actually making versus what is coming out? A lot of people wonder, why am I broke? Well, maybe you're just spending more than you're making. But you never really noticed because we use credit cards, and it's easy to lose track when you're using plastic money because you don't really see it, I did cash spending only for a while, and I'll tell you something. When I was at the grocery store and I would take out that $20 bill or that $50 bill or whatever it was to pay, I can guarantee you, in my mind, I was like, do I really need this bag of chips? It's crazy, but my mind went that way because the money was in my hand. I actually saw it. I saw, the amount written. There was pain associated to me handing it over to the point where I was thinking about it, and I was like, do I really need this? But I realized when I had credit cards, I'd be like, oh, I'll be able to pay it back. And most of the time I was. But I realized that all of my extra money went towards purchases, and then I never really had anything extra in order to save or invest or do anything that would actually help me in my life.
Right.
So I think it's the fact that we don't feel the pain right away that it's just easy to leave.
I think that's a really good point. I think everyone should try when things get back to normal. But everyone should try spending, because now everyone's just spending on Amazon, right? So it's like, and Amazon's just the kings at that because everything's already stored. Just like add to cart. They already have all your credit card. It's like done, buy, done.
So maybe that would be tip number 2. Is maybe just do the experiments to feel it. Because what was nice is that what happened to me after was that I transitioned back into using cards because there are advantages to that, you know. But I think that the self-control that I had spending cash, I ended up spending less when I went back to the credit cards. So I don't really see that you have to do this your whole life. It was a cool experiment, but I also noticed that going back to my credit cards, I was spending more or less the same amount of money I was spending cash.
If you're using credit cards, especially that gain you points, it could be super advantageous. So
it really is.
Spend that money, get the points, pay off your cards. Now you're winning the game.
The main reason for using credit is only if you need to invest in something that could possibly generate money for you in the future. It could also be equipment for your business or things that you need to make your business grow or to start your business. But it'll eventually, all these things will come together and help you to produce more money.
Robert Kiyosaki says that too, like good debt and bad debt, right? Like
for sure.
And that's the thing. And you said it right there. So if you're going to go into debt to buy a luxury item, it's probably not a good idea. It's a liability. But if you're going to, go into debt to get an asset, it's worth it.
Yes, I do give a free first consult. So I basically like to get to know the person that I'm potentially or I'm working with. But I also want them to decide for themselves whether I'm the right fit for them, because it's really important. I want to help people and I want them to make the decision, and I don't want to just sell them something that might not help them. So I give them that opportunity to ask me whatever they want. They could test it out for themselves. And if they feel like, you know what, I want to continue with Sabrina, I want to continue with Virtuous Woman Finance, then we go ahead. But I do offer that free first consult.
I'm a strong believer in coaching, in mentorship. I think everyone should have a mentor and a coach.
We're on a journey, and the more we invest in our lives, the more you'll see increase.
One last thing I want to ask you is just about, you're such a busy person. Any one advice on time management?
Yes. I mean, for sure, discipline has a lot to do with it, but that does come with time. So don't be too hard on yourself. I think that when it comes to time management, you do need to schedule time for yourself. It's really important. So you need to schedule time to get enough sleep, enough time to sometimes just be alone, relax. It's important to know to schedule these things, because if you're tired or you're weary or your health is not able to keep up with the demand, your work is going to be sloppy anyway, and you're not going to get the results that you want, and you're going to burn yourself out. So it's important that you need to schedule almost everything in your life, and that includes time for yourself, rest, sleep, preparing your meals if you have to so that you eat healthy. I just make sure I get up on time, I get ready, and I go. Some days I'll be able to meditate, the way I want to. Some days I'll be in the metro doing it. you know?